Hey guys, this is EJ Holland with the Wolverine.com, and we're back with another commitment recap podcast. The Wolverines have scored another win on the recruiting trail. We're going to dive into that in just a bit. But before we do, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the Wolverine.com today for just $29.99 until August 31st of this year. That gets you premium insider recruiting information, team information, basketball recruiting, other sports. Plus, you get to be part of a great message board community over on the Fort with more than 8,000 unique members. Come join the discussion today and get all your insider Michigan recruiting information for just $29.99 until August 31st of this year. That gets you through the spring evaluation recruiting period, summer official visits, spring football is still here, the spring game, all your coverage you're going to want to get over at the Wolverine.com today for just $29.99 until August 31st. All right, guys, Michigan just scored another win on the recruiting trail. So just after landing top 100 running back Jordan Marshall out of Ohio, Michigan dipped back into enemy territory and reeled in a verbal pledge from three-star Lakewood St. Edward offensive tackle Ben Roebuck. Roebuck is ranked as the number 40 offensive tackle in the country and number 594 overall recruit nationally. He is a three-star on three of the four major recruiting services. Rivals does have him as a four-star, but outside of their rivals 250. I think with Roebuck, let's talk about him as a player, and then we'll kind of break down the commitment. With Roebuck, you have a ball of clay waiting to be molded. This kid, and I don't mean that in a bad way, this kid is 6'7", 340 pounds. So we are talking about a true tackle prospect that is absolutely massive. I had a chance to see Roebuck live last year at the Under Armour camp in Columbus, and I wrote that he was one of the better offensive linemen there. I thought he was a top performer. He was extremely impressive in one-on-ones. He's just so hard to get around just because of his size. He has really good length as well, but when you're 6'7", 340, that helps out a lot. He's not carrying as much bad weight as you would think. Now, he is going to have to trim off some fat and rebuild that with muscle. But when you're committing to a program like Michigan, you have to remember you get the luxury of working with Michigan's strength and conditioning coach, Ben Herbert, who just transforms bodies. And I'm really excited to see what Ben Herbert can sculpt Ben Roebuck into. Again, there's so much to work with that frame. But like I said, he's more of a true tackle prospect. I think once he cuts down the weight, that'll also help with his footwork and just being more nimble on his feet. Right now, he's a little heavy-footed. I think that, along with, just a lack of pure athleticism and being a little overweight, are some of the things holding him back from a rankings perspective. But when you look at Roebuck as a pure offensive lineman, he's a guy that's extremely nasty in the trenches, especially for a tackle prospect. He loves to put guys in the dirt. He's really mean in the run game. He is kind of the tackle version of Luke Hamilton in terms of a guy that's a little heavy-footed, that's not a super athlete, but is definitely a guy that can just bury people in the run game, that loves to get nasty. I think, again, once he gets in the strength and conditioning program, once he cuts down some of that weight, that'll help with his flexibility, that'll help with his footwork, that'll help him become more athletic and become more comfortable in pass sets as well. But that's not to say he's bad in pass sets either. I think he's a guy that just needs a little bit more work in that area, but a lot to like about Ben Roebuck's potential. Again, you can't teach the frame, you can't teach the size. This is a guy that's going to fit in right at home at Michigan, just with his demeanor, his playing style, and what he can become under Herbert and under the teachings of Sharon Moore. So let's go ahead and dive into his recruitment as well. Sharon Moore did a fantastic job here. He made Ben Roebuck an early priority, but he really began his push for Roebuck in the winter. He got him on campus, again, and then this month was on campus twice as well. So I believe 4 visits in the calendar year. Roebuck really fell in love with the program. Michigan became the clear leader in his recruitment. Me and Zach Levy put in predictions back in January, even though mine didn't register for whatever reason. So Zach Levy gets all the credit here. I did go in and put a pick before this past visit weekend. But again, we were feeling really strongly about where Michigan stood with Ben Roebuck for a couple of months now. And with Moore making him a top priority, Michigan just has a lot to sell along the offensive line. Back-to-back Joe Moore awards. Again, Roebuck's just a fit for what Michigan does in its offensive system as well. So, yeah, I think Roebuck just fell in love with the program, really saw what Michigan could do for him on the field from a development standpoint, really saw what, Michigan could do with him from a development standpoint in the weight room as well. So everything kind of checked the box for Roebuck, and it obviously helped having Luke Hamilton committed as well. I mentioned Hamilton earlier, 4-star interior offensive line commit out of Ohio. Hamilton was very, very active in peer recruiting Roebuck and telling him the benefits of Michigan, why he, as an Ohio kid as well, decided to cross over and wear the maize and blue. And so I think Roebuck's extremely happy to join Luke Hamilton, and now you have 2 Ohio road graders up front along the offensive line. But like I mentioned, Roebuck was on campus this weekend. I think that visit finally sealed the deal. It definitely wasn't a surprise, but I think that Roebuck just needed a little extra push, and Sharon Moore, Jim Harbaugh, Luke Hamilton, everybody involved in this recruitment was able to answer the final questions he had to get him on board. And the offensive line group is really shaping out nicely. I think Michigan is going to take 5, potentially even 6 prospects. I think an offensive line group of Roebuck, Luke Hamilton, Blake Frazier is very realistic here. You have a lot of center targets still on the board. Michigan's in the mix with some elite-level recruits like Michael Uini, who visited in January. They are, full force along the offensive line. This can be a very, very, very good group. And it starts with Roebuck and Hamilton being the foundation there for sure. For more Michigan recruiting coverage, what's next along the offensive line, we'll have plenty of other names to talk about. Make sure to head over to thewolverine.com today and sign up for $29.99 until August 31st of this year.